And I was on mute. What is going on, guys? Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Wednesday night live stream, and Thursday for you people in the UK, aka John and Lee. Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day. Yep, sorry started on mute, but I think we're good now. Let me know if the music's too loud or anything, and I'll tweak it a bit. What's going on, Mark? Today is going to be a bit of a shorter stream because I have to be somewhere in an hour, so probably only about 30 minutes today. So a little more rapid fire. If there's any questions or topics you want me to dig into, fire away and we will get to them. What's going on, Triggerfish45? What's going on, Mark? Lee, in the process of setting up a new tank, would like to link to my main tank or set up on his own. That one comes down to me it's a trade-off. If it's its own system, it's nice to have as a backup that's independent, so if one tank has an issue, the other one is likely fine. And that's always like a very nice kind of backup redundancy. But that also means more work. It means you gotta buy more equipment, you need more dosers, you need another skimmers, you gotta buy a bunch of extra stuff. You know, that might mean 2 water changes, where if you pump it into the same sump and it shares it, then you're using your same equipment, it's not really costing you much extra, so that's kind of the trade-off on that one. Stressful Reefer, happy Wednesday. Heck yeah. Do you dose Phyto in pods? I do periodically. When I used to culture it, I dosed it all the time and the tank freaking loved it. If you're not culturing it, it can be a little more expensive to do that. I do have some of the Reef Nutrition, the concentrated Phyto that I randomly dose. I don't really have a regular schedule, but I do randomly dose it to the tank. I have to take your granddaughter to school in 8 hours. Yep, I go to sleep at some point. Carl, any experience dosing water glass to combat dinos? Thoughts and warnings? Okay, so water glass, aka diatoms, you're essentially trying to force a diatom bloom to outcompete the dinos. And I haven't done that on its own, but I've done that as part of a bit of a sledgehammer or kitchen sink approach of trying to get rid of chrysophytes and dinos in the past. And so I can't 100% say if that on its own did it, but there was a few things I did at the same time, and that definitely did help. Tracy, hope life has been treating you well, and good evening, everyone. Likewise, good sir. Wellesley, you've spoken about reef moonshiners in the past. What is your status of using that now? Pre-child PC, I was really good at doing it daily. I've been slacking ever since, so it's been a while. The tank was super happy when I was doing it all and dosing it daily. I still have most of it, and I've been using it for periodic adjustments. I haven't been as good on doing the dailies. I am using more just the broad spectrum for daily dosing of trace elements. It's been on my to-do list for like 2 months now to set an ICP, see where I'm at, so I know where to tweak things from there. So I've been kind of using the Reef Moonshine stuff more for just tweaking at the moment, but based on where I figure out I'm at with my dosers dosing of trace elements, and I may do some, weekly or daily dose on top of that. So it's kind of in a limbo at the moment till I do an ICP and see the real thing about it. Carl Ray, sodium silicate is alkaline. Monitor your alkalinity when you bringing in the treatment. Good to know. Cheers, that I had the extra, never thought about water changes. Yeah, so that's another thing, right? You could use a doser, you could do it manually. Water and Reefer, how's it going with the NP? Pretty good, actually. I will probably do a video on it in the near future. I've kind of decided, because a lot of people did videos right away, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna wait a little bit before I do one, just to have a month or two under my belt with it. But to give you guys a bit of a sneak peek, today my nutrients are very high. One thing that just made me realize is how high and bad my nutrients are, because it's not something I test very often. So my nitrates are currently 45, my phosphate 0.28. And I did actually test with the Hannah within like 20 minutes of it testing today. Phosphate was spot on. My Hannah read a little bit higher for nitrate. So both, reasonably close given the margin of error in them. Which is funny because usually like about a week ago or a few days back when I last tested, nitrate was spot on. and phosphate was a little bit off, but I think they've tweaked and they've like fine-tuned the phosphate, and then it was like spot on today when I did a manual test comparison. So I will definitely do a video on that one in the future. How's that battery backup working? Fabulous. It's working really well. I'm going to do a bigger version, I think, for the new tank. So I got a couple different ideas in mind for a few revisions to do or different content. One thing I might do just for fun, I don't know if I'd practically do this, but a few people asked, why not, how can you run the whole tank? So I actually do have an inverter that's just hanging out that I bought like a year ago. So I might actually try, maybe I'll take a couple 100 amp-hour battery and just run the whole tank off it and see how long it lasts for fun. Just because some people ask. I mean, I don't think it's the most common or the most economical solution, but people ask about it, so maybe I'll do that as a fun project one day. Carl Ray with ICP Analysis Company out of business. Any other United States-based ICP? I did not know ICP Analysis was out of business. Good to know. Ever tried fauna marin? I have, actually. The fauna marin one I liked. The ATI one I also like. Triton one was pretty good too. I haven't used that one in a while though. What do you think on seawater used straight to the tank without any treatment? What are the risks? Your risks depends where you collect it. Again, if there's pests or pathogens or something bad in the water, that could make it into your tank. If you're collecting it from like a boat harbor, there could be, gas and pollutants and stuff in there they don't really want in your tank. I would probably consider running it through at least like a micron sediment filter, or if you want to be a little more hardcore, run it through a carbon filter, and then you'd probably be relatively safe. But those are the kind of considerations that I'd have. But if I live by the ocean, I mean, I would probably try it if it was convenient to do. One arm reefer, I'll be getting one soon. That's the MP. Very nice. Yeah, no, it's definitely a cool piece of kit. I guess the only crappy thing is, of course, there's more reagent, more stuff to buy for your monthly expense, but it is really nice to have it. Like, it's made me realize how bad my nutrients were, and I'm like, okay, maybe I'll feed a bit less, and maybe I'll reduce things, maybe I shut my export. It's kind of made me reassess some of that. Not that I've taken drastic measures, but I'm slowly doing tweaks to improve my situation there. Phil, what's going on, buddy? Almost forgot to stream. Better late than never. Carl Ray, I've used them twice, was good. ICP septic rather than water changes. Do your parameter checks before you use it. Which one are we talking about there, John? Are vitamins and aminos worth dosing on an LPS tank? Vitamins? I don't know. I've heard people doing it. I don't think you quote-unquote need to dose it. Same with aminos. It kind of depends what you feed. If you only feed pellet food or flakes, then aminos probably has some more value to it. I feed primarily mysis and nori to my tank, so I don't feel I need additional amino acids on top of that. But I have seen tanks, where there are more pellet heavy, and they started dosing aminos, and they started getting better color, richer colors out of the coral, so it definitely made a difference on some. So I think it depends what you're putting into your tank, and what kind of aminos are already entering your system or not. But I think that's a good one. Ushiamo. Evening, Dev. What's going on, Jay? What percentage of 24 average evaporation do you think you could dose over a 10 to 12 hour period? 100%, buddy. Evaporated 800 mils per day, and now I'm dosing 500 mils at night to lower the night/lower pH period. I would dose that full 800 mils. Like personally, I do as much as I evaporate as what I have pumping through the calc reactor, like approximately, right? I'm sure I'm a little bit off because it changes throughout the year, but I'm doing roughly a gallon a day of calc because that's roughly what I evaporate. So personally, I would just do as much as you evaporate, as long as you're not pushing your elk or your parameters super high, right? If you're dosing on top of it, then 100% take advantage of all the calc you can drip into there. Lee, what would your dream fish coral be if money was no object? Such a tricky one. Like my modest one, it's still an arty wrasse. I love them. They're super pretty. They're that yellowy gold and like a very fluorescent blue. But they are overly priced. But that's one fish I've always loved, but I would never spend a couple $1,000s on them. John, I know someone who used natural seawater once. Lots of expensive corals due to high extremely high phosphates. Oh, crazy. Yeah, so I mean, where the water's collected from definitely makes a big difference, and that's kind of the main consideration there. But yeah, so it really depends. But yeah, it's probably worth testing it. But if you live by the ocean and have a giant pipe going out, I mean, that just continuous water change that baby, you'd probably be set. But yeah, you just gotta make sure it's not full of toxins or bad stuff putting into your tank. David, I was wondering what would be your approach for a nano tank with a lot of coral, with a ton of algae and bubble algae. I wanted to move some of the stuff to a new tank, but it's infested. For bubble algae, and what's the other type of algae? Emerald crabs do a pretty good job. I would also manually move it. There was lots of controversy on they said it was bacteria, but it was actually an algicide. Vibrant, that's what it was. So I did use that in the past, and it absolutely got rid of bubble algae. Whether or not you want to use it, trust, because, you know, with the label controversy, blah blah blah, it did work for that purpose. So I am throwing that out there. Use at your own risk, yada yada yada. When I used it, it was good. I didn't have any issues, and it did the job. Now, for hair algae in a nano tank, I would throw in a tuxedo urchin. Those guys are relatively small, as long as you're not a bunch of frag plugs, which he might rearrange, but they are phenomenal algae eaters, and I bet you he would have your tank cleaned up in no time. You could throw in one of those and a couple emerald crabs, and they'd probably clean it up. Now, if you want to speed it up, you can also do some manual removal, suck it out with water change hose, and that will definitely do the job. Do aminos tend to affect nitrates or phosphate more? That's a good question. I don't think I have directly tested that. I don't know. Let's get back to that one. Hairy looking or turf? Yeah, so that's probably, yeah, turf or hair algae. The other thing you can do for the hair algae or turf algae, again, turn off the flow and spot treat with hydrogen peroxide. That will also kill it back too if you want to do it the manual approach. But otherwise, getting critters to do it for you takes all the work off. Phil, some of the seawater collection places are actually filter the water. There's one near me in Santa Barbara. I would never use it though. Yeah, that's fair. Jay, hit that like button. Definitely appreciate if you guys hit that like button. Dev's answers are super helpful, and it's the least we can do. Appreciate it, Jay. Have you opened the box yet? Are we talking about the new tank, or what are we talking about? Yeah, for talking about the new tank, I've 80% built the stand. I haven't put the doors on yet. That thing is freaking solid and heavy. I still got to empty the tank beside me though before it. I still got a bunch of coral I need to rehome, and then I can do my tank swap. So that's coming up. I have some Vibrant, got it free from BRS a while back. Okay. So the whole Vibrant drama controversy, their label says it's bacteria. It was found out it's actually an algicide. A lot of people are angry about that, and they boycotted them and didn't want to use it. But I used it and it worked. You know, maybe there's issues with algicide. I didn't have any, but food for thought. Are you dosing flatworm stop? I have the KZ one at about a 50% dose on the water box. So I think I'm dosing 4 mil a day or something like that on there. I don't know if you need it per se, but I do feel like it does increase basting and spreading the corals. Not that I need that anymore because tanks should probably slow down, but yes, I am dosing it at a half dose. Fluconazole. Fluconazole can also work well for hair algae. I have used that at a double dose to rid hair algae. After about 10 to 14 days, it'll literally turn white and melt it away. Now again, you're probably going to release those nutrients into your water. You want to do some water treatment to suck it out once it does melt away. It may mess with your microbiome in your tank. No problems on that one, but it does work to kill algae, especially at a double dose. Vibrant will open a void in your microbiome. Yeah, exactly. It is going to kill off a lot of the good stuff as well. And that's a consideration. When you're taking the sledgehammer approach and you're using, you know, something that is an algicide or that is an antibiotic, you might be taking up the bad, but you're also messing with the good. And you're going to upset the balance in your tank. And there might be some longer term fallout from that. So that is a consideration, right? You may have, your tank might be off for a while. It may take a while to settle back into its happy state. So I don't know, that's just something you got to consider if you're looking at the sledgehammer approach to things. Thank you. You are most welcome, David. Hopefully that helps. I meant Devin's new tank. That's what I figured. Yeah, it's funny. The tank is still sitting in my driveway. The stand is on the other side of the wall behind me, minus the doors. But I gotta get this one out before I can bring it in. So, and I'm slowly building up and planning this to the day I do it. I think I still need to get some new collars for my M2 so I can actually have a return pump on it and a few other things, but we're close to that happening. In the next week or two, I'll order the rest of those parts. Have you started thinking about some corals you're looking at for the new tank? If so, which ones? I am looking at primarily millipede. I love millies. I love those shaggy polyps. They're just like the coolest thing in my mind. Whenever I've seen acro, I love it. They're super shaggy. So that's the focus for this tank. I have also been debating, do I do LPS shaggy, quote unquote, in the bottom? So I have been debating if I move some Ganies and stuff in there. We'll see. Haven't fully decided on that one yet. I do plan on keeping it higher, relatively higher flow in the tank. In my 6.5 foot tank beside me, I have 4 MP40s along the back wall, and I'm going to reuse those in the new tank, which is only 4 feet, so it's going to be basically an MP40 for every foot. So it's going to be lots of flow in there as well. But yeah, millies is going to be the primary coralline, the dominant coralline there, and then I haven't decided on the rest yet. I'm also debating too if all the fish get moved in or not, or if I move in less. I'm a little bit worried about too many fish in at the same time. To kind of mitigate that again, I am pre-cycling on my rock using Dr. Tim's right now. I do have some of those little glass vials in the startup. I have a couple liters of Cyperax that's been in my water box for the last month and a half. So I'm doing all these things to kind of like build up all my bacteria so that when I move the fish in, it will be, you know, primarily cycled already. But yeah, I don't know. If there's any other cool kind of feature corals you think would be good in there, let me know. But shaggy polyps is the current theme, just because they're the ones that make me happy. It's kind of like, you know, you got your stick, but then you got the movement to it. Mark, let's celebrate the 3rd Super on a live stream. Appreciate it, buddy. Much appreciated. Dun. All right, guys, what else you got for questions? Today is rapid fire question live stream because I don't have a lot of time today. My IT company I work with, we won a like best of kind of our city awards, so we have a shindig for that in 40 minutes. I gotta head to in a little bit. Jay, I added 4 Bergia 8 weeks ago. They started laying eggs straight away, but I only ever see 2 of them. I see lots of eggs, but 0 effect on the Aptasia yet. Should I be seeing effect or babies yet? No, you won't. The babies take at least a month or more, so it's going to be a 4 to 6 weeks probably. And then once the babies start to hatch, they'll start eating, and then as they grow up and lay eggs, and it's kind of an exponential thing. But the Bergia would do a phenomenal job, but they take a while. It takes a while for that life cycle and the babies and their population to explode. So yeah, you're probably going to be like a good 2 more months before you start to notice an impact. Continuous dosing of Phosphan L or phosphate media. I have done phosphate ionodoser, which is similar, which actually I should turn on right now, considering I have 0.28 of phosphates. Good idea, Alan Reef. I'm gonna turn that back on. We'll get her back down to 0.1ish, or at least under 0.2. 0.15 I'd be happy with. Does the name change the effects of the live stream metrics? Does what name change? AskReefDudes? I don't know. I don't think so. Continuous dosing. Okay. GFO, aka phosphate media. So GFO is probably the most common one. That does work phenomenally well. Can get kind of expensive, but it does work well, and it definitely strips out phosphate, and it can strip out other stuff as well. Using something like Phosphan L or phosphate E or basically they're all lanthanum chloride at different concentrations. That works as kind of a controlled dosing method that can bind the phosphates. The big consideration here is it makes very tiny particles, and it is possible for those particles to get in some fish's gills, like some yellow tangs, some wrasses. Certain fish can be more susceptible to it, so you want to make sure that you're dosing it ahead of or into mechanical filtration, like filter socks, filter rollers, or a skimmer. That's the bigger consideration. Now, the lower amounts you do, the more diluted drip, or the slower you drip it, the better it is, because it gives it more time to kind of react and get bind up in your filtration so it doesn't affect your fish. So that's the only big consideration in my mind about the phosphate L versus phosphate media. Lanthanum needs to be dosed to a filter sock. and at the overflow. Yeah, so more contact time the better. I did mine at the bottom of my overflow tower, kind of where the water mixes in its high turbulency before the filter roller, before the skimmer and all that jazz. Reef Keeper, have you ever seen any of our tanks consume a ton of phosphate? I'm having to dose so much on a big tank. Can't figure out why it's consuming so much. Because you have tons of beautiful corals, Phil. Your tank is packed with massive, awesome corals, and those corals are going to absorb the nitrate and phosphate. So they're probably sucking it up just as fast as you're dosing it. That's my guess on your system, just because I've seen it. Like my tank, it also depends how many fish you have. Like I have too many fish in my tank. I have tons of big tanks, so that's why my nutrients are always on the high side. Any news when the Trident NP will be back in stock? Oh, not phosphate, potassium. Ah, that's a good one. All right, potassium. Potassium. All right, let me ponder this. Let me read your question. Using tons of potassium. Your corals have to be sucking up, or I don't know if you have algae in your tank, but something's definitely sucking it up. There is, yeah, I know too much potassium's bad. I've definitely elevated mine too high in the past. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what would be sucking up tons and tons of potassium though. It's a good one though. I'll get back to you on that one. Any news on Trident NP will be back in stock? I have no idea on stock. If I can lure... Yeah, I know. I'll see. Maybe we'll do a Neptune stream again and get Paul on and lure him on and we'll talk about it. Have you toyed with hydros at all again? I have not in a while. If I do though, I already know that I would use the one with the plugs and the brain all-in-one instead of the wireless plugs, just because they were flaky for me. So I'd 100% use the other. I think it's called the XP8, the brain it, but that's the way I go if I was to use it again. Potassium helps with coral coloration, so my SPS told me. Yes, it does. And at a certain level, you almost get a little bit of a vibrance out of your coral, but too much is bad. So that's the trade-off. Should try out the launch. Yeah, maybe I will again. The problem is now though, I have multiple Apexes, I have a JHL, I have so many controllers. Like I need an excuse for another thing, and I don't know if I want more tanks than I already have, because I'm already up to 3 right now. So we'll see. Maybe I'll play with it again one day though. Okay, so Phil, I've been trying to research and I've seen a few people talk about carbon dosing sucking up potassium. I'm carbon dosing a bit. Let me ask Lou about that one for you. He's supposed to come on again at some point in the next few weeks. So yeah, I will talk to him about it. And that's a great question for him, because he might know, because he has lots. He's like a master of the carbon dosing. The launch would work for a smaller tank. Yeah, that's true. I could totally use that on the Nano if I try one out. We'll see. I'll dig into it more. I feel like I should give it another chance and see what it is. All right, I got 6 more minutes and then I gotta run out the door. What else you guys got? Rapid fire. Any other questions? Shoot. We'll dig in. Dun, dun, dun. Have you used the launch mark? I'm curious to your opinion and how you like it if you have. Yeah, you should. Okay, Mark, have you used it? Is it working well for you? It's been like a super mixed bag. I always like survey all my buddies that are using the Hydros and how they're liking it and how it's working for them. I still found the one weird thing though. The other person I know that had weird issues also had Unify access points. And someone else told me that they don't play nice with the newer Wi-Fi 6 technology, but they worked better with the older ones. So that might be related as well. So yeah, I know one guy that literally has an older access point around just for his hydros, and then he has no issues. And the other guy has newer stuff and he has issues. So that's my current running theory. Jay, did you get my rock wall pics? Yeah, I did actually. Those are the ones he sent with the spray foam, which is pretty cool. What else eats ulva and sea lettuce algae? Some tanks might. One day I will try that for sure. I've definitely been curious about making like a wall and crazy shapes out of spray foam and see how it'll hold up, but just the fact that yours has held up long term gives me some good hope there. I'll switch my internet 3 times with no issues. Solid. Tap water mixed reef. Hey, for a skimmer, do you run wet or dry, and why? I run mine drier because I don't want to be cleaning it every few days. If I run it dry, I can clean it every like other week. That's honestly the main reason. It's just so I can not clean it every few days. So if I can go 2 weeks, then I'm a happy camper. Tracy, I don't have any questions, but I hope you have a good rest of your week and a fabulous weekend. Thank you, sir. As to you as well. Hillbilly Reefer, do you think Bergia will completely kill Aptasia, including very small ones hard to get? They're doing an incredible job so far. They are ferocious. They definitely can. You know, I would question if they could take down some like monstrous hand-sized one, but anything smaller, like they 100% will. Phil, love my hydros. I run it on 3 systems and Apex on 2. Solid. So you have 5 tanks, Phil. Gee, that's awesome. Tracy, everyone smash that like button, subscribe. I agree. If you're not subscribed, do so. If you haven't hit the like button, hit that like button. It's definitely appreciated, guys. It is what it is. I restarted my tank and have about 30 SPS frags. They have been for about a month, going strong and growing. I want to try Reef Moonshiners. When do you think would be a good time to start? If your corals are encrusting and growing, then, you know, it is a good cannon to do it. Do an ICP test first. You can see where you're at and see where you're deficient in, and then you can get just those elements to kind of start dosing, go from there. But yeah, if they're just tiny fingernail frags, you know, probably not yet. You know, but if they're like decent sized frags that they're encrusting, they're actively growing, then they're also sucking out that trace, and then it might be worth considering it. Did you ever have acros growing bubbling tissue? I have not seen an acro bubble. I've only seen it on like mushrooms and other like softer corals. Do you bubble scrub? It'd be interesting if there was little air pockets in there. Done. Okay, 2 more minutes. And then I must run and get changed and look fancy for the event. I have not bubble scrubbed in quite a while. I don't feel the need to since I've done ozone and all the other stuff because it gives me nice crystal clear water. But I used to, and I didn't find it bothered acros in any way that would have made them bubble. Sometimes little bubbles would collect under the rocks, or, you know, they'd make the corals slime a bit, but nothing that I would say caused any weird bubbling deformities on anything. Shadow Man, I got an email saying ICP analysis was closing their doors. Any ICP companies recommend? The 2 that I probably use most frequently in the past year would be either ATI or Bonmarins. So those 2 I both thought were pretty good and fairly consistent. Like those are the 2 I'd do. Whatever one's easier for you to find. I used to get them when I ran really high pH. Interesting. Oceamo. Yeah, I have not personally tried Oceamo, but I've heard them on live streams and they seem to be very knowledgeable with their stuff, so they're probably a solid choice. Alright guys, apologize for the super quick stream today, but sneaking in what I can, so short stream's better than no stream. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you have any requests on future guests or stream topics, let me know in the description below or the comments after the stream, and then we will use that for some future ones if there's any special requests. Otherwise, I'm going to wing it with whatever inspires me that week. Alright guys, as always, if you enjoyed it, that like button. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. Thanks for hanging out for the quick half an hour stream, and I will see you guys next week.